Hey guys, James Grage here, aka The Muscle Geek. Today's video is part of a series on advanced training techniques for growing stubborn body parts. Now each week we're going to address a new muscle group with exercises and tricks to stimulate new muscle growth. Now it's fun to throw around heavy weights, but that's not always the best way to make a muscle grow. So instead, I'm going to show you how to train smarter in order to build more muscle. So today we're talking about something that's extremely important and often overlooked when it comes to targeting a muscle and making it grow. And that's the relationship between a muscle's length and the associated tension on the muscle. Now this is something we need to address up front because it's very important in order to get the most out of this video series, especially when we talk about targeting specific parts of, say, the biceps, the triceps, calves, and hamstrings. For example, have you ever been told that in order to train the soleus muscle in your calves, you need to do seated calf raises? And that's because it puts the gastrocnemius in a biomechanically weak position. Or how about if you want to focus on the inner head of the biceps, you need to do preacher curls because it helps lessen the focus on the outer head of the biceps. Well, all of that's going to make a whole lot more sense after this video. So what am I talking about when I say muscle length tension relationship? Well, as you already know, it doesn't matter what exercise you do, your muscles can only contract or shorten. In other words, a muscle can only pull 2 points closer together. So to demonstrate, let's grab my boy Bones here, talk about triceps. Now the long head of the triceps is going to originate from the back of the scapula. We'll use this elastic to simulate the muscle. It's going to run along the back side of the elbow and attach at the back of the ulna. All right? Now, so even though you use your triceps for pushing movements, say like bench press, the triceps muscle is pulling the arm straight using the elbow almost like a pulley. So it's literally pulling the arm straight. Thanks, Bones. So here's where we get into the length-tension relationship. Now imagine this piece of elastic is your muscle. Knowing that a muscle generates its force by pulling, all right, actually pulling together, if it's in a shortened state like this, there's no way I can get a strong, powerful contraction. Now you might hear this referred to as putting the muscle at a biomechanical disadvantage, which makes it very difficult to overload the muscle and therefore force it to grow. Now the opposite is also true. You won't be able to maximize the contraction if you overstretch a muscle at the starting position. So for this to make more sense, imagine that, let me put this away. Imagine my fingers are the small filaments within a muscle fiber. They literally look like opposing fingers that pull together in a contraction. Now a strong contraction would pull it in so my fingers fit in nice and tight together. But if a muscle is already in a shortened state, you can see there's nowhere for it to go to get that strong contraction. Now the opposite, in an overly lengthened state, the filaments are too far apart to fully contract. So somewhere in the middle is an ideal length that will give you that ideal tension for the strongest possible contraction. So now that we're done with the science of it, let's talk about how we actually apply this in the gym and make a muscle bigger and stronger. Well, we're able to make this work to our advantage most with muscles that cross two different joints. For example, we know that the biceps crosses the elbow joint, and that's why the biceps flexes your arm at the elbow. Let me grab Bones again here. So we know that the biceps flexes the elbow, right? It's crossing the elbow joint. But it also crosses the shoulder joint. All right? Now this is going to change the length and therefore the tension of that muscle, allowing us to either put it in a stronger position to maximize the contraction or in a weaker position so we can maximize the contraction in another muscle group. So let's use the triceps as an example. Spin Bones around here. All right, because the long head or the back of the triceps attaches to the scapula right back here, okay? Putting your arm, I actually have to switch hands, putting your arm in an overhead position is going to stretch that muscle. You can see as it wraps around, literally around the back side of the scapula, you're stretching that muscle. All right, this is going to give you good tension in the muscle, allowing you to get a very strong contraction. So arm in an overhead position is going to be great for that long head of the triceps. Now, if I were to bring it back down to my side here in a neutral position, like you would in, say, a triceps rope push down, you're putting the long head in a more neutral position, which is going to allow you to focus more on the outside or lateral head of the triceps. Now, we'll go into more details for each specific muscle group and exercises for those muscles, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any future videos. And if you like this content, then please give it a thumbs up. That feedback helps me and Bones and Courage to keep putting videos up for you guys. And if you have any questions, then please leave them down below in the comments. We're here to help you, but we can't help if we don't know what questions you have. So please
help me help you. Help me help you.
By commenting below. And we'll see you guys next week. Later.